Okay, this is billed as a practice evening, and usually on a practice evening we do 2 sets of meditation. But what I wanted to do this evening was something a little bit different. As you might expect, I'm going to be doing the Metta Bhavana, which is my default setting for these evenings. But what I want to do is to make it more of a bit of a workshop, particularly on the first stage of the metta practice. Because what I see that as being the pivotal point of the practice. It's what sets the tone for the rest of the meditation. And it's very often that part of the practice that people find problematic. So on a show of hands, who finds the first stage of a metta practice a bit difficult? And on Zoom? Yes? Yeah, right. A fair number of hands went up. Okay. And if I said, who finds the second stage a problem? 1? Okay. And on Zoom, anybody? No. Okay. So those the first two stages of the metta practice, first one is difficult and the second one isn't. And I started thinking about this and thinking, well, why should that be? What's happening here that we find it more difficult to develop positive emotion, loving kindness, receptivity, gentleness, all the rest of it for ourselves, and yet, by and large, we don't find it difficult for a good friend. And I started thinking, well, okay, what do we find easy about the friend? And I thought, well, it's someone towards whom we already feel positive. Someone towards we already have an outflow of loving kindness. We already feel positive towards them. In other words, energy is flowing towards that person, a warmth. So I started thinking, well, where is that coming from? And it's, if you locate it in your body, it's the heart. This is where that emotional energy is coming from. It's from the heart centre. And I thought, well, what's happening in the first stage then? And for me, I thought I'd give you an example of what the first stage of the metta practice is for me. Okay? So, you're sitting in the shrine room or you're sitting at home and somebody says, okay, the Metta Bhavana. So I'm sitting in meditation and this is my internal dialogue. And it goes something like this. Well, may I be well. And may I be happy and free from suffering. And gosh, I wouldn't half like to see that film at the multiplex this week. It's got really good reviews. May I be well. May I be happy. And God, wasn't that a good tea I had tonight? And the sun left for tomorrow's lunch. That's really good. And may I be free from suffering. I'm really quite worried about how I'm going to fit everything I've got in tomorrow. I've got 2 Zoom meetings, and God, I didn't do very well on last week's, did I? And may I be well, and may I be happy, and God, this is hard work. And it's And I don't know if this is doing any good at all. My meditation practice doesn't seem to be going anywhere in the metta. It's not. I just don't feel that I'm getting any further forward with may I be well, I'm happy, I'm free from suffering. I get really tired. It's like pushing a rock uphill. It's just not going very well at all. And I don't know. I mean, all these people with the cases on, they keep saying, do the practice. And I don't see it's doing... Oh, thank heaven for that. I thought he'd never ring the bell. Yeah. Well, here we go. On the downhill now. Good friend. Yeah. Wow, here we go. Does that sound familiar at all? Yeah, nodding. Yeah. Okay, so what's going on? Where am I meditating from? And where I'm meditating from is not just the heart. I'm meditating from the head as well. So there's a dialogue going on, a duologue between the head and the heart. So there's a bit of me, the heart bit wants to develop, wants to be promoting this feeling of loving kindness, of receptivity, of kindliness. And the head has got other ideas. The head starts getting quite defensive, judgmental, at the worst. Yeah? I would develop metta for myself if only. This seems to be one of the messages. If only I wasn't so... Fill in your own blanks. Okay? So what we're dealing with here is the heart wants to develop this loving kindness. This is what you set your intention to. But what happens is that the head starts saying, well, this is all very well, Jayaratna, but remember what happened last week? You weren't very metaful then, were you? So there's the old finger wagging starts, and the heart says, well, I'm doing my best, but, there's so much that I'm not feeling worth being metaful towards. Oh, it's hard to describe this. So it's like, oh, okay, what's happening here? And if you think back when I was doing that dialogue with myself, all the things I was describing fall in the category of the 5 hindrances. All right? Desire for sense experience, ill will, restlessness and worry or remorse, doubt. There's always one I forget, isn't there? And that. This is terribly embarrassing. Sloth and torpor, thank you. I think that's what I'm suffering from at the moment. Yeah, sloth and torpor. Okay. So, it's the hindrances that are hindering this meditation. And we're taught, I was taught, and probably you were all taught as well, that one of the things we do in meditation is to get rid of the hindrances. Yeah? Let's clear the hindrances out of our meditation practice. And I don't think I've had much success. I keep doing it, but I don't know if it's really very profitable to do it. I was thinking about it and it struck me that what we're doing is we're applying effort to remove something that we don't want, which sounded to me terribly like ill will, which is what we're trying to get rid of. And this seemed to be a bit circular, right? We're trying to get rid of something, and we're using ill will to get rid of it, which is what we're trying to get rid of. So it got very complicated. And I thought, well, surely there's a better way of doing it than this. So I had to think about it, and I thought, well, okay, let's look at the hindrances. What are they actually? So if you reflect on your own experience of the hindrances in meditation, well, first of all, what are they hindering? Well, they're hindering the free expression of positive emotion. That's what we're looking at in this context. In a wider context, what they're hindering is the arising of the 7 factors of enlightenment, amongst other things. So in other words, the hindrances are not only getting in the way of meditation, they're also getting in the way of awakening. And awakening is what we've been dealing with this month. So it seems to me that although I'm applying it specifically to the Metta Bhavana, you could take it within the wider context and say it's even more important if you think, okay, if I can find a better way of dealing with the hindrances, then it's going to have a wider effect in terms of my potential for awakening. Let's see if I've missed anything out. Okay. If you think about the hindrances, about that list of 5, they're all mental events. If you think about the hindrances in terms of what you're trying to do with awakening, which is to fix your attention on what is happening in this very instant in our lives, what is it, who is it that is here and now, in this very life? The hindrances are mainly concerned with what happened back then, or what we think or hope is going to happen up ahead. Or, the other way of looking at it is, it's the disparity between what is actually happening at this very instant in our lives and how we would like that to be. Okay, in other words, well, I don't want to feel tired right now. I want to be bright and cheerful and loving and all the rest of it. Yeah? I don't want to be worried about what I did last week. I don't want to be thinking about what I want to do next week. I want to be here now. But unless we are here now, we're not going to wake up. That's the message that the Buddha, to me, the message that the Buddha gave. We need to be here now to wake up. So it seems that one way to deal with the hindrances is to treat them as mental events, which is the reality. All they are is thoughts and feelings which are produced by the mind. They don't have any reality apart from that. Now you might argue with that, but if you explore it, I think you will probably find that that is true. They're all just mental events. They have no reality apart from that. So, for example, I might think I remember what I did when I was 50 or 60, what I did on my 70th birthday. That's a good one. I've got a very clear idea of what I did, the party that was given for me. But it isn't real. I think it's real, and I want it to be real, because it's part of me. But it's not. It's just a product of my mind. It has no other reality than that. And that's quite difficult for me to realise and to believe in my heart that that is true. Because what I'm saying is, well, I'm sorry, Jayaratna, but no, you haven't got that reality. You think you have, but you haven't. So looking at reality as opposed to what we want reality to look like can be hard work. But then the spiritual life is hard work. So what can we do when we're practicing the Metta Bhavana, which is going to be different and which hopefully will make a difference to the way that we practice it? So what I want to do this evening is just to try something out, to get you to try something out. I've been practicing it this week, but to get you to do the same, and that is to treat all the hindrances that arise within your meditation as being no more than a mental event. They have no more reality than that. So if they're just a mental event, you can let them go. They've arisen in your mind, they will fade away. So you may think, well, what's the point in that? We're not actually trying to do what we've been trying to do in the Metta Bhavana, maybe for years. And that is, well, you've not said anything about developing metta. Where's that disappeared to? All you've talked about are the hindrances. So where is metta in all this? Well, it's there. And you've proved it's there, because when you go into the second stage of metta, there it is. And it was there all the time. All it needed was an object which you could relate to as being worthy of this emotion. And sure enough, the emotion flowed. So each of us has the ability to experience a feeling of metta. We know what it feels like. We know we can do it. The only thing that stops us doing it are the thoughts and feelings that the mind produces which block us from experiencing that for ourselves. And I was thinking of an image for this, and it's a bit like, well, today was pretty well a good day for weather, so you go outside and the sun is shining, and you've got the brightness and you've got the warmth of the sun. And if you think, okay, that's what my mind is like when I am experiencing metta. So what happens when the hindrances come up is that the clouds shift across. Okay, so you can't see the sun, you can't feel the sun. The sun is still there. And we need to hold on to that. The sun is always there. Metta is always there, waiting to be experienced. And you know this from your own experience. At any time, if something happens to cause you to feel happy, the happiness arises. So it's always available to us. All we need to do, is just to catch the hindrances as they arise and say, this is no more than a mental event, and can I just let it go? Can I just wait for the clouds to pass? Because they will pass. I mean, we know everything is impermanent, and that includes the hindrances. So, the challenge, there are two challenges that I was able to identify for doing this meditation. And the first was, I better read these. Can I accept and wish well, have a heartfelt wish to this person at this time, here and now? So that this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to stay with ourselves in the here and now. And all the thoughts and all the feelings that come up that try and block us away from that are regarded, are seen as no more than mental events. They don't have ultimate reality. They are insubstantial and impermanent, and they will fade away. The other challenge is, can I accept how things are rather than how I want them to be? So it's this mismatch between how things are actually at this moment and how part of me wants them to be. So that's the other challenge. So it's recognizing our wishes, it's recognizing our cravings and our wish for something, our wish for something to end, and it's actually wanting things to be different in some way. So it's trying to get a handle on this mismatch between how things are and how we'd like them to be. Realizing that and saying, things are okay just as they are, because that goes against our experience.